Boston Celtics battle for the Finals MVP continues. Let's get into foul trouble.
What is going to be like the name of last night's game? It's the Luka foul out game, right?
See, I guess that's
The
what
Xavier
everyone's
Tillman
fixating
game?
on. No, I don't. I think the timeout game. I think Jason Kidd lost him the game.
This is a take that I think is a good take, but I have not seen talked about anywhere.
So I was watching with Jesse, and after the game, we were both like, "Why?" They're gonna ask Jason Kidd why he called the timeout, and no one asked him. The Mavs are on a 20-2 run. Jason Kidd calls a timeout, and the Mavs proceed to score, I think, one basket after that, the entire rest of the game. Maybe two baskets.
So he called that timeout with 5:25 left in the fourth quarter. And this is after the Celtics went up by 21 with almost 11 minutes left in the fourth. The Mavs continue to go on a 20-2 run, ending at the 6:11 mark, and then less than a minute later, Kidd calls a timeout. Nobody has scored in like pretty much that minute, and then we saw the end of the game. So I mean,
like he killed their momentum. Like Jason Kidd single-handedly killed all the momentum the Mavs had. Luka was furious when they called the timeout.
Yeah, it was definitely weird, especially when you're at home, like in the middle of this gigantic run. It was like getting a little sloppy, but in my opinion, against the Celtics team that generally has been so disciplined and just so on it in every place, and you have Luka and a like scorching hot Kyrie, you want the game to be messy.
Yeah, I feel like the Mavs can only win this series, and the series is over, but like I feel like one thing with the Celtics team, like sneaky, really strong thing about the Celtics team is like every time the Mavs have had little like 8-0 run and Mazzulla calls a timeout, the Celtics seem to always respond with their own like 8-0 run.
Yeah, totally.
So that like during the whole run, I was like, why is Joe Mazzulla not calling a timeout? Well, and then it felt like Jason Kidd gave them the timeout and they just came out and did Celtics basketball, which is going a little 8-0 run.
It's funny because like that was kind of the thing last postseason about Joe Mazzulla is everybody was killing him that he didn't know when to take timeouts. I thought he's been
Jason
great
Kidd
about it this season.
Saved him last night from would 21 points be like the biggest fourth quarter comeback in finals history? It'd be one of them.
It has to be. Like I would have to look.
It has to be at least one of the biggest three. But no, I felt like the Mavs. It's hard to say they bailed them out because the Mavs actually never retook the lead. But like that run started off the ESPN cutting to Jason Tatum saying stop taking contested jump shots, followed by Jason Tatum contested jump shot, followed by Jason Tatum turnover, followed by another Tatum brick. I feel like last night Jason Kidd went out of his way to save the legacies of Tatum and Mazzulla.
I mean, I was listening to the Hoop Collective this morning, and they pointed out something that I hadn't even thought about. Jason Kidd, Cal guy. Jaylen Brown, Cal guy.
Jaylen Brown was awesome last night.
So good.
He saved them in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, so Jaylen Brown, 30 points on 12 of 22 shooting with 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 turnovers, but also a block. He was just everywhere. And I mean, I hate to even limit it to Jaylen Brown because I just think every guy in the Celtics rotation for the most part, other than like Tatum was great for them in the first half because his shot was falling. But like you even go into their bench, Xavier Tillman, like they won the minutes with Xavier Tillman out there after really not turning to him at all. Sam Hauser hitting so many timely shots. Peyton Pritchard. This dude, Peyton Pritchard, how can he guard Luka so goddamn well?
Yeah, on some possessions. Yeah, Luka had his roughest game for sure last night. But yeah, I mean, just to go back to Jaylen, Jaylen was like, I was almost shocked that at points in that game, they went to Tatum. Like, they went to that Tatum ISO a little bit toward the end of the game, and Jaylen Brown bailed them out with an offensive rebound and a putback. Jaylen Brown had the huge jump shot at the free throw line. I mean, I feel like this series really is the weird, ascension of Jaylen Brown as the true best player on the team, even though the Celtics don't seem to view him like that the way they operate.
Yeah, I mean, 24 points in the second half of essentially a closeout game or about as close as you can get to it. Jaylen Brown has just been incredible. And we get those little glimpses into that Tatum in the huddle. Like it seems like Jaylen Brown is the leader of this team as well.
I feel like I don't. It's like the Celtics are about to win in a sweep, so I don't want to dunk on Tatum too much. But I feel like when people think of like what they don't like about the Celtics team, it's like that nervous energy that you really get from that team, like, you know, during that Mavs run. And I feel like just when they cut away to Tatum being like, let's stop taking contested shots, and that's like all he proceeds to do the rest of the game. It's like, dude, you are not the guy. I don't know.
Yeah, but you know, it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. They're going to win in a sweep. They're such a good team. Yeah.
I mean, also Derek White, I never stop being impressed by what this guy can do.
That banking three.
Oh my God. Talk about a back-breaking shot right there. And just the way that they're really 4 of their 5 starters, you feel great about them one-on-one against either one of the Maverick stars, which I think going into this series, we would not have said.
Yeah.
But what other, I don't know. So let's go back. So the way this game started is the Mavericks
are on
kind of instantly go up 25-12, pull out a 13-point lead against the Celtics. What was going well for them?
Irving was hitting shots. I thought Irving's ability to get to the basket this game was way better. I felt like he blew by Drew a lot of times in this game. Obviously, his shot was falling. Luka hit a 3, I think, 2 possessions into the game. It kind of felt like everything was going. It felt like with both Luka and Kyrie being able to get to the cup, it kind of really opened up the Mavs and made the Mavs look more like the Mavs. They had actually had a couple lobs in this game.
Yeah, and I feel like, at least for the Celtics of last year and the year before that, I feel like they probably would have folded at that point. Being down 13, the Mavericks crowd was really, really loud at that point. But then Kyrie fouls Jaylen Brown on a 3. He doesn't make the 3, but that starts this huge run that ends up with the Celtics completely flipping the script and going up
yeah, they went up.
10.
They went up.
10
I think they were down by
midway
2.
in the
I think
third.
they were down by 2 at halftime, but they went up at certain points during the second half.
And I think that third quarter was really the game.
Yeah. So you know what's really interesting is I didn't look at any of the online discourse about this game until a couple hours later. It's weird because I thought Luka had a pretty rough game, and it wasn't because of the fouls. Oddly enough, well, okay, my big gripe with his fouls was his foul on Derek White in the second quarter, where he fouls Derek White after Derek White gets a rebound and just picks up a foul. Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
You can not afford to have 2 stupid fouls at the end of the fourth quarter, but you can stay in the game if you commit 2 dumb fouls in the fourth quarter, if you don't do the fouling Derek White on a reach-in 94 feet from the basket in the second quarter, because it is the whole game. But one stretch, and I was talking to Max about this before the pod, I thought was really rough for Luka as a floor general, was Kyrie hits 2 threes in a row, then 2 possessions go by where Kyrie doesn't touch the ball. Then Kyrie is like, guys, I might be on a streak right now. Drains a 3 over Drew Holiday. And I'm like, okay, so Kyrie's just hit 3 threes in 5 possessions, and the third one was just an absurd heat check 3. Luka proceeds to just not direct the ball toward Kyrie for 4 possessions, 5 the Mavericks are just not force feeding the ball to Kyrie. When I'm like, dude, if you have a player of Kyrie's caliber and he's scorching, give him the ball until the flame is extinguished. What are we doing?
Yeah, part of being a superstar is identifying.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
That's why when I walked away from the game, I was like, Luka had a really rough game, but I was more thinking about moments like that where I'm like, dude, you're the floor general of this team. You got to acknowledge this is if Kyrie's really heating up, get him the ball.
Yeah, I love that point because it's kind of the fouls were a product of Luka kind of being in. It felt like he was in his own head for a lot of this game, and he's so good that he can beat most teams by himself when he's just in that zone. But it felt like he was almost isolated for moments of this game of he wanted to win so badly that it was kind of just clear out, let me do this. I'll get you the shot when I'm going to get you the shot.
Yeah, it kind of feels like this Celtics switch everything and make Luka and Kyrie beat them. Because I think even at halftime, they're like, the Mavericks have scored 51 points. And Kyrie and Luka scored 41 of them. And you're like, oh my God, that's not the recipe.
Yeah, well, it's like the Suns last year against the Nuggets.
Yeah.
You're watching Booker and Durant go score 70 of the Suns 100 points, and it's like this just no way to win.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess to get to the foul thing, it's so funny because obviously Luka fouled out. It's a big part of the game, but I wasn't even really thinking about the fouls because I guess for me it's I think fouling is definitely a natural byproduct of bad defense. And what was the stat you said? Luka's getting blown by 67% of the time.
Yeah, so Luka or ESPN has been putting this stat. They put out the stat this morning. Luka has the highest blow by percentage allowed on drives in a series in the last 10 years in this series. 67.7% of the times where a player is making a drive against Luka, he's getting blown by, which is
yeah, I mean, you can see it. It feels like every time Tatum, I will say this is the one thing that consistently I think Tatum has done really well in this series, despite the bad shooting, is I think Tatum has done a really good job of getting past the first perimeter defender and helping create havoc from there. And even in this game, yeah, it felt like anytime Tatum wanted to get by him, he could. I thought Kyrie played really good defense this game, other than that weird three where he lost track of the ball.
That
was just a weird, quirky play.
I thought Kyrie was pretty awesome.
Yeah, his defense on Tatum is what started the run. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I mean Luka's defense has been really, really rough in this series, and I think it's tough because I think people hate when I keep bringing up LeBron, but I feel like Luka's supposed to be this hardened LeBron apprentice, I guess. But I think what really separates the two is LeBron could do this offensive load, but also play great defense, whereas Luka was already a bad defender. And I think the Celtics playing him in a way where it's we're just going to give you ISO matchups, so you got to take them. And so most offensive possessions is Luka ISOing. It's just so much on-ball involvement that I think for an already bad defender, you're compounding the issue and making it even worse.
Yeah, I think that's a great point right there. But I mean, I think I don't know. For me, I watched the game after it already happened, so I had seen some of the discourse going into it, and so I was keenly watching the Luka fouls throughout the game, and I just felt other than maybe two of them, they didn't have to happen. A lot of them were frustration fouls. That Derek White one didn't need to happen at all.
I think that's by far the most egregious.
And then my opinion is once you get to the fourth quarter, and especially after you've crunched a 21-point lead to a 2-point lead, even if you're going to give up 2 points, even if you're going to give up 3 points, if you're Luka Doncic, your team has absolutely no prayer of winning that game unless you're on the court. You've got to do whatever you can. And hey, you've already established that you're good at blow-bys. Just let them go. Stay in the game because you might be able to get that kill shot in if you're in there. But I just think at that point in the game, Luka just did not have the poise that he needed to win that game and make this a series.
Yeah, I guess my thing on the sixth foul, because I think everyone is really harping on that one, he's by the sideline, so I don't know what he's supposed to do. Is he supposed to, I know you're saying that he should let Jaylen Brown go by him, but optically, is he supposed to move toward the sideline and let Jaylen Brown just come inside? If he's got poor horizontal foot speed and Jaylen Brown is barreling toward him, it's just him having poor position to begin with is going to lead to the foul. I don't really know what he could have done there.
It begins before.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It begins before. So by the time he's made that decision to either brace for contact or go for a charge, whatever it actually was, it was over before that decision was made.
Yeah, but he still made that decision is what I'm saying.
But no matter what decision he made, he was going to foul him. Because I think that's what makes Jaylen Brown really smart. And I think the reason why a lot of the times the Celtics runs start with Jaylen Brown or their funks end with Jaylen Brown getting them out of it is because Jaylen Brown is so good at forcing contact and making the refs sway the Celtics back somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Once he was there with his feet planted, it's like, what are you going to do? But like, that was a transition play. Like, Luka had to run a quarter of the court to even get right there. And like, I'm just looking for that. Like I don't think LeBron puts himself in that position.
No, but I think though, with the difference between like Luka and LeBron is LeBron, like Luka, if he had just tried to play defense, like either would have gotten blown by or he still would have committed a blocking foul because he's not fast enough. Whereas LeBron could still slide his feet.
That's true. I see it either way, but it's just like at the end of the day, you look at the whole like
Package.
game.
Yeah.
And,
No, I
and it's
totally
just
agree
like
with that.
like you're better than that. Like he's so good. Luka is so good, and I'm not trying to say that he's not, but I just think there were when I'm watching a team like the Celtics where there is like I truly feel like the special part of the Celtics team is there's just no ego at all. It is all drive and kick, getting the best shot, playing tough, team defense, communicating throughout the entire game. I felt like Luka's game, especially game 3, was clouded by ego. I think there was not trust there with his teammates. And like maybe that's earned distrust. But like once you get to the finals, you kind of got to roll with your guys. You got to roll with Kyrie. Like I just think that was the image of a player who was in their first finals and wasn't ready to win that finals.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't view it the same way. I think a part of the distrust in the teammates thing really does come back to the Celtics just doing so much switching and forcing them to play ISO. But I do agree in the sense of what I highlighted in the second quarter, where it felt like he really missed the moment of like, okay, like we've really struggled to get threes up here. And if Kyrie Irving is on a heater, like why am I not getting him involved? Like, why am I passing the ball to PJ Washington right now?
Yeah. And like
I did think he definitely missed the moment a couple times in this game. And it was his roughest shooting game by far of this series.
It also,
having said all that, the Mavericks outscored the Celtics by 9 points while he was on the court.
That's true.
It's the non-Luka minutes that have really killed them in this series.
Yeah, Tim Hardaway Jr.
was not good.
Not good at all. But so now we're in a place. I feel like we've kind of laid out what the game was, and now the Boston Celtics are up 3-0 in the NBA Finals. What have you learned about the Celtics in this series specifically, even independently from the playoffs at whole?
I felt like, I mean, I guess it's hard to say what I've learned about them as a team. What have I learned? I don't know. I mean, they're a really great team. I already knew that. I think what I've really learned, I kind of hate that this is the discourse, even though I've kind of engaged it a lot. I think I've learned that I think Jaylen Brown actually just truly is their best player. And I think people will really rebuke that because maybe Tatum has a better handle. But like, I think Jaylen just has such a good pulse on like, I need to just get my head down and ram myself at the rim, and I need to just shake the game up. And he just seems to have such a good pulse of when to do that. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he's like the real on-court, speak with their actions leader of the team.
Yeah, he's definitely the heart.
He's the heart of the team, because I think a lot of people were like Marcus Smart is the heart and soul of the team, but I think in his absence, I feel like Jaylen Brown being the heart and soul of the team is like, it really like it shows on the court. Like it does feel like every time they go on a run, it's because like Jaylen draws a foul in the 3-point shot, or when they need to end the Mavericks run, it's like Jaylen's going to hit the tough jump shot. Jaylen's going to get to the rim. Jaylen's going to get the putback on the rebound. Like, and it feels like, you know, I still think Tatum is a really, really, really good defensive player. And I think the Mavs targeting him with Luka is more of a body type mismatch, where because Tatum's upper center of gravity is not the best against a Luka Doncic, I don't think that takes away from how good of a defender Tatum is. But who's the one defender that they are just avoiding at all costs? It's Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
They do not want anyone going at Jaylen Brown. And it just feels like, I think all of us, because maybe last year Brown's handle wasn't where it needed to be and it hurt his game so much, but he's coming to this offseason and it seems like that's not really a problem anymore. Like, I feel like he's taken such a big step forward. And because this team was so stacked all year, we maybe didn't all realize it.
Yeah, I mean,
just how far he's ascended.
I think all those things are super fair. For me, one, I didn't know Joe Mazzulla was this kind of coach. I think pretty much throughout the playoffs and especially in the finals, he's hit every button correctly. He's known which guys to go to. I think the rotation that he's kept has been super, super tight. And they have so much talent on this roster that I think it's easy to say, oh, like, of course you're going to go to those guys that he's went to. But I think he's specifically made really good decisions throughout this finals. I also, like, in my opinion, and I watch way more Western Conference basketball than I do Eastern Conference basketball, just as nature of living on the West Coast. It's a lot easier to, but I think this whole season I have heard, and I've even parroted this media narrative that this Boston Celtics team is this like kind of shaky, like ready to fall apart whenever given the opportunity team that like needs to be the front runner at any given time. And frankly, I think that's bullshit. Like this Boston Celtics team, one, is a completely different team from the teams of the past 5 years. But like, I really am so impressed by just the poise, the leadership. Like, I just think this is like a winning organization that has really great basketball minds and attitudes, top to bottom. And I just like, I don't think they're going to win 3 championships in a row, but I think this is the start of another very special chapter in the Boston Celtics' long franchise history.
Yeah, I mean, they're a really good team. I guess I'll push back a little bit. I do think last night Mazzulla saved himself from what everyone would have viewed as an absolute disaster of just never calling a timeout during a 20-2 run. So I'm going to push back on that because I think the result is dictating that a little bit. And I do think on-court leadership-wise, I think Tatum, even during a 3-0 sweep, has showed some real flaws.
Well,
I just think going to the huddle
Derek
and being like,
White.
no more contested shots, and then only taking contested shots to close out the game is crazy.
That's true.
That was crazy. I just feel like last night the Mavericks kind of saved the Celtics from everything you said they don't do. Is like last night was the embodiment of everything we don't like about this Celtics team.
But you know what? I'm gonna push back. When we were talking about that 21-point run that the Mavericks basically took, about how that would probably have been the biggest comeback in finals fourth quarter history. I think that probably would have been. And you know why? Because
they're up by that much.
It doesn't happen, you know? Like, even if Kidd didn't call the time out there, I am very suspect to say that the
just
Mavericks
give them the win.
Would have won that game.
Of course.
Because the Celtics, I mean, that third quarter, the adjustments that they made, the way they came out, I mean, that might have been the best quarter of the entire series for the Celtics.
Yeah, but I guess the thing though with the Celtics though is like what really ended the run was like they go to this Tatum ISO and he just bricks a shot and Jaylen Brown gets an offensive rebound and a putback. And then the other bucket that Jaylen had is a contested like pump fake mid-range and then just shoot it over the defender. It's like they didn't get good shots to win the game. They still got the process was really bad to close the game out.
Yeah, it might.
Like Derek White just banked in a 3-pointer. Like I think you're really underrating like how much of a disaster class that fourth quarter was for them. Like all their made buckets were like fluky buckets.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you.
They're way better than the Mavericks. I'm not taking away from them winning because it's a 4-quarter game and they dominated the third quarter to the point where they gave themselves that much of a cushion. But I thought their process was horrible in the fourth quarter yesterday.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I think the results were definitely terrible, and there were moments where it's like, what are you doing? But I just think generally, like the defensive process that they had in the fourth quarter is also what kept them in this game. They string together great possession after great possession on Luka and Kyrie. Mm-hmm. And like, Yeah, I mean that's also part of like not having like a super true like table setter in any of these guys on the Celtics. But I don't know. I was just really impressed by being able to keep it together, especially like I said in that first quarter, and I mean the fourth quarter too.
Can I go to a funny thing about bad process?
Please do
for the blue team.
Yeah.
So Luka fouls out. So it's like, all right, Kyrie, you have to be hero ball here because we know no one's going to help you out. So Kyrie hits the one mid-range, and it's like, all right, he can do this. This is legacy moment. I think the Celtics hit a shot. So I think the Mavs are down 5 or 6 with 35 seconds left. And it's like, all right, we need a quick 3. I know most of the people who listen to this podcast watch a lot of the videos that, I make or Jesser makes. Kyrie goes for the Jesser fadeaway right wing 3? The Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's pointing at the TV? We were like, he's doing your shot.
So like behind the back.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, my brother Jesse in all his basketball videos always tries to hit the shot where he runs full speed toward the right wing and takes like a fadeaway to the right 3. And that's the shot Kyrie went for over Al Horford. You can't get a better look than that.
Some say he even yelled Jesser as he shot it.
Did you notice that?
So funny. No, I didn't put that together. Those pieces together.
I was like,
so funny.
I was like 7 seconds on the shot clock, and you're going for the Jesser shot.
No, I mean, I remember the play, and I can envision it, and that is exactly what he did. That is so funny.
Yeah, no, I thought Kyrie, I thought he was in a really bad position when Luka fouled out, where obviously the Celtics were like, okay, we know what this game's going to come down to. Kyrie just has to hit some tough shots, and I felt like Kyrie just, I don't know, it felt like it was a lot of like dribble pull up. It wasn't a lot of like trying to, step back, get myself a little space. I felt like he just took a lot of, even by his own standards, really, really hard shots.
Yeah, I mean, that's been kind of the whole, he had 2 free throw attempts in this game. I think that brings his total in the series up to 4 free throw attempts.
Wow.
Which is just like, they need a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't want to criticize Kyrie too much for like
he was great. I don't want to.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't pull out the 1v5 down 4, but I just felt like we all knew he had to play hero ball, but it just felt like for how good his handle is and how good he is at creating space, I just thought, I don't know, I felt like he could have done a little bit. Like I don't get why you have to do the literal Jesser shot over Al Horford. It feels like you could have gotten something better than that.
Yeah, and a huge problem I had with that process there is he was also continuing to pass the ball to Tim Hardaway Jr., which was just a black hole the entire game.
Was kind of like, he had that nice find of Derek Lively down low. I thought Kyrie is in an unwinnable position, so I don't want to criticize him too much. I thought he was really awesome in this game. I thought they honestly should have went to him more, but we already talked about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird how in the first half of this game, it was like the guys that have been terrible are hot now. And just like...
It was the inverse game.
Jayson,
like Drew Holiday had
Kyrie.
like a more rough offensive game.
So now, finals MVP...
It has to be Jaylen Brown.
It's got to be Jaylen Brown, right? Yeah, I'm right there with you. I saw on NBA.com on their finals MVP ladder, they had Tatum number 2, which I thought was like
I think
crazy.
Tatum has to be like 4, right?
Personally, I would probably put him at 3, I guess, just because of the like massive production that he's been able to deliver, even though it hasn't been like very. But like you got to. Drew Holiday was also.
I feel like Drew Holiday and Derek White have to be ahead of him.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain if Derek White's ahead of him either, because Derek White, we said it every single episode, but his rim protection, and the ESPN guys are privy to it now, so they say it every single time up and down the court. But like the way he can like kind of block the ball before it's even out of their hand is like crazy, because a lot of like the more perimeter guard defenders that are good at blocking the ball, like I think of like a guy like Mikal Bridges and stuff, they'll like high point the ball, like a Matisse Thybulle even, but like it seems like Derek White will just like meet the ball before it even leaves your hand and is blocking it.
It's the weird thing, but I don't know why, I just have to bring this up because it's funny. So Jokic has like weirdly high steal numbers and low block numbers because he also is a low blocker where he blocks the ball low, and a lot of his blocks are attributed to steals. I wonder if that could also be a Derek White thing too, where we're like, are some of his blocks being erroneously counted as steals and vice versa?
That's so weird.
Yeah, because what's the difference between a block and a steal?
It's true. It's like however high you have it up.
Yeah,
I always thought about that.
Should we combine the stat?
Maybe it should just be stocks.
Yeah, stocks might just have. I mean, like seriously though, because when someone picks up their dribble and they're going up for a shot, but it's not above their pecs yet, and you swipe.
It's the classic Chris Paul.
Yeah, like is that a steal or a block? Like genuinely asking, is that a steal or a block?
Now we have to incorporate intent involved in this.
Yeah, I just feel like the stat keepers aren't factoring in enough factors.
No.
I think every stock needs to be analyzed further.
Well, what it is it's the like local stat guys just trying to create a narrative for their guys. Like it's a lot better at this point in Chris Paul's career for the Golden State guy to give him more steals than more blocks because he's not climbing up any block lists.
If Chris Paul was a career Jazz, would he be the all-time assist leader?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too.
Absolutely.
I think somebody needs to go back and watch every John Stockton game and adjust his assists.
I mean,
and just for if we care so much about all-time history, someone has to do it at some point.
How crazy would it be if it was like, yeah, he actually averaged like 5 more assists per game? I don't know. They just didn't like him. So the Celtics are up 3-0. Each point in these finals recaps, we've been kind of like placing them in like historical air, and boy, are they putting themselves in good company. If they can win their next game,
let's assume they do.
Let's assume
they have a 9-point win next game.
They will put themselves in a group of 11 teams all time that have ever went through the finals and lost 2 or less games. And I think it needs to be pointed out that we have only had 3-round, 7-game series, I think, since like 2003, 2004 or something. So really having only 2 losses over the course of 4 7-game series has only really been done by the Golden State Warriors in 2017. And I think, or maybe it was in the late 90s, but the 0-1 Lakers are right there too. And then we just look at like who else has 2 or less losses. The 99 Spurs, 91 Bulls, Bad Boys, 89 Pistons, 83 Sixers, which was just like one of the greatest teams of all time when they added Moses Malone. We've got a Showtime Lakers. We've got year 1 Oscar Robertson and Kareem. Just the cream of the crop in terms of all-time teams.
But did those teams have cakewalks to the finals like the Celtics did this year?
I think the Showtime Lakers did. I think the West was super weak back in the mid-'80s and the late 80s. I obviously wasn't alive during that time, but from my understanding, the Showtime Lakers actually did have cakewalks to the finals back then.
Yeah, so that was 82. That was like a really weak time. The year before they lost in a 3-game series to the Rockets with Moses, but like that was like a huge upset.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from the Celtics. The Celtics can't control who they play, but I mean, it is worth being said with how crazy their net rating is. I think they're like plus 11 or plus something in this playoffs, but like Heat without Jimmy, Pacers without Halliburton for most of it, no Mitchell for a lot of it. I mean, just getting to avoid Milwaukee, New York, and Philly is a crazy confluence.
Oh yeah, it's huge. But then the other half of it is like, you always got to keep in mind, like, the state of the league. Like, the league right now, even with the injuries that we've seen, is so much better than, like I don't know. I'd like to go and see, like, I don't know. All these teams actually had pretty tough. Yeah, other than the Celtics.
Yeah, I feel like the 17 Warriors run is way significantly more impressive than this Celtics run. in terms of the teams they played.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who the
No,
they
I mean, it
even
is what it is.
played.
Like, the Celtics can't control who they play.
And they
but
smacked them.
And they smacked them. Yeah, that's true. Like, that's all you can ask of them is to smack the bad teams, and they smack the bad teams.
And I think it needs to be said, going into this series, so many people were saying that the Mavericks were going to win. So many of like ESPN's main panel picked the Mavericks to win. The Mavericks looked amazing going into this series. So I think it would be a shame.
Ain't not us.
We didn't.
We
but
picked
I think it would be a shame to act like these Mavericks were not like a finals.
Oh, no. I'm not including the Mavs
I
and
know
the
you're
easy
not.
opponents. Yeah. No, I think when we look back, like, this finals beatdown is super, super impressive, because even though the Celtics have, I feel like, a lot of the structural advantages, like, to sweep a team in the finals, especially a team that, you know, came out of the West, I think is really, really impressive. And I think it just shows that, like, if the Knicks were healthy, if the Sixers were healthy, if the Bucks were healthy, the Celtics probably would have beat all of those teams. Maybe they don't sweep them all, but like probably would have won. I think that's fair to say.
And then, I think it is too. And then to your point, we look at like what NBA Finals series have been sweeps. The most recent one was the 2018 Warriors over the Cavs. I think that series is so different than what we're looking at right here. That Warriors team is, by all measures, in my
best
opinion,
team ever.
The best team ever assembled. Before that, we look at the 2007 Spurs over the Cavs. I think that's also a very different series than this. I just think that this Mavs team is so much better than
that
what
Cavs team,
was.
Yep.
LeBron was only 22 at the time. But then we got the 2002 Lakers over the Nets. I don't think that's super comparable. But then we look at the 95 Rockets over the Magic. I think this is actually like a pretty good look at like what this series was like. We've got a team in the Rockets that they made a trade for Clyde Drexler mid-season. Clyde is still like
pretty good,
by all means, a superstar, maybe not at the peak of his powers, but Hakeem is just absolutely unbelievable. They kind of underachieve in the regular season, but then go on a huge run in the playoffs, take out really great teams. But then they end up playing this Magic team with a younger star in Shaq and Penny, but it's kind of like a imbalanced roster of two really, really great players like the Mavs have, surrounded by role players. Against a team that is the reigning champion and just a much more established victor. I think that's like a pretty good comp for what this series has ended up being. Then we look at, Bad Boys Pistons sweeping the Showtime Lakers. Showtime Lakers were just like hurt at the end of their rope. We're not ready for that series. The 83 Sixers over the Lakers. I don't think that this is that heavyweight bout, but just an interesting addition to the sweeps club if it does end up being that.
Yep. All right. Well, that's the NBA Finals. It's been it's been something.
Another playoff retrospective. Damn, it was disappointing.
Well, the whole playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Eastern playoffs, we got the great Sixers-Knicks series.
Great Sixers, Knicks.
And that was, we had some great individual games, like game 1 of Boston, Indiana was a great game.
There was a couple good Indiana, New York games.
Yeah.
A couple of those Magic Cavs.
There was one good Magic Cavs game, one non-blowout.
And then we look at the West. Of course, I think that Nuggets Timberwolves is kind of
we had the two closest 5-game series in NBA history: Timberwolves Mavs and Lakers Nuggets. I mean, the two greatest, most competitive sweeps ever. Actually, every game in the Nuggets Lakers series was a good game.
Yeah,
that was actually a pretty fun series, despite it ending pretty early.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that says all you need to say about this playoffs. Is that was probably a top 5 series, and it was a 5-gamer.
I feel like the Lakers and Nuggets should just play every day because all of their games are really entertaining.
Yeah.
They should just be contractually forced to break away from the NBA and form a 2-team league.
And then
Let's make a 4-team league with the Sixers, Knicks, Nuggets, and Lakers.
Wow. Yeah. That sounds good. And we it's like a 1 out of 100 series, so we never actually even get to the winners of those two series playing. We just keep getting to see them play over and over and over again.
Yeah, no, I think these playoffs were a dud. Last year's playoffs were a lot more fun. Yeah.
But there's definitely a lot, I feel like, set up for next year to be very interesting.
I feel like we're in a weird period of NBA history where we're in the pre-Victor area before Victor wins every championship ever.
I know. How do you think that affects it's definitely a subplot that I've been thinking about with this Luka appearance. I hope this doesn't end up especially with Jerry West's passing, it made me like a guy that made so many finals and just by hook or by crook, he played in 4 Game 7s in NBA Finals throughout his career, and all of them ended up being a 2-point game or this or that. Victor's coming. I hope Luka didn't just waste his shot at getting one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be I think the West is going to be really hard. The team, I don't know why I keep thinking about them lately, is OKC. I'm just man, I feel like OKC if they can diversify the offense a little bit, maybe add that big man, they're coming.
They're coming. I mean, they still have 1 million first-round picks, and they're cheap. They're not even in the first apron, I don't think, yet.
Yeah.
Which is insane. I mean, the Nuggets also.
Yeah,
the Nuggets are
anywhere.
right there.
Yeah.
Who knows what would have happened if we had a Nuggets-Mavs series. I mean, I still want to see a Nuggets-Mavs series. I want to see a Celtics-Bucks series. I want to see another Sixers-Knicks series.
Yeah, it's crazy. I guess my one takeaway with Luka, because I'm a big Luka fan. I'm super, super high on Luka. I always thought when people were see, he's better at 25 than LeBron James was, I was slow down. Yeah. I think we can finally put that to rest. And I think even the biggest Luka supporter like myself can clearly say now, and maybe he's hurt, but it seems like he's moving pretty good, so I don't even want to say that. I think his defensive limitations on the perimeter are always going to make him this weird player where he is better suited to guarding 4s and 3s, and he's going to get switched on to guards a lot, and he's always going to be somewhat of a liability defending shiftier players. And I think his defensive ceiling is going to make it so regardless of how high he peaks as an offensive player, it's harder to imagine him ever being better than the 12th or 15th best player ever if he hits his absolute ceiling just because of the defensive limitations we've seen in these finals.
I totally agree. It's he's definitely closer to James Harden than he is LeBron James, which is not a
bad thing
diss at all. James Harden's probably top 3 offensive peaks of all time. Of course, when you say James Harden nowadays, it's a little bit more of a buzzword in a different way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we definitely have a lot of exciting stuff to talk about going into the summer, going into everything. Hot streak shooting slump?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. The part of our weekly Thursday, Friday episode where we talk about our week and determine if we are on a hot streak or shooting slump.
Max.
I'm streaking this week.
Let's go.
Take it. Yeah.
I feel like it's a little weird when you say it like that. I'm streaking this week.
Streaking through the quad.
Yeah, like one of those. What is it? What's that one university? San Jose State?
Oh, I know what you're
Banana
talking
slugs?
about.
Is it no, it's not San Jose.
Or it's Santa Barbara.
Cruz or Santa Barbara?
Santa Cruz.
Okay.
Yeah, UC Santa. For those of you who don't know, UC Santa Cruz has a college tradition where I guess where it rains, a lot of the students go streaking in the rain.
Yeah, I think Chapman does that too.
So let me clarify. I've been running naked.
I've been running around naked. It's exactly what you think.
No, it was low-key a good week. My girlfriend got a promotion at her work.
So yeah.
We got
Congrats,
to celebrate.
Max's girlfriend.
Jen.
Shout
out
There
Jen.
we go.
Shout out to Jen.
Yeah, she got a promotion, so we got to have a celebratory dinner. That was nice. Some drinks, some good cocktails. I saw Vampire Weekend at the Hollywood Bowl last night. It was a really good show.
That's awesome.
Super stoked. Yeah, I honestly, like, just low key, feeling good. Had a good week. Not much to it other than that.
Any week you make it to the bowl doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, although I will say I really need to figure out like what the best parking situation is, the Hollywood Bowl, because I just did like an Uber there and an Uber back, and each Uber was $45, which just hurt. It just hurts. It hurts a lot.
I have the ultimate hack when going to the Hollywood Bowl that I can't really like give to anyone.
Is
but
it to work for Jesser?
No, it's not. My siblings work at a hotel walking distance from the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the 2 times that I've been, just park at the hotel.
That's sick.
That's fuck.
Yeah,
I feel like the streets by that. It's like the way the freeway exits and the street and the way it opens up into like touristy part of Hollywood is this massive confluence of different road types all meeting in the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an event venue, 2 freeway exits and an entrance, like Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah.
The big mall on Hollywood Boulevard. They're all like within like a 5-minute cluster of each other.
Franklin
yeah,
and,
it's kind of a disaster.
It is. I do have one beef with the Hollywood Bowl. So we brought some wine to drink last night at the show.
As you
A connoisseur.
Yeah.
can do at the Hollywood Bowl from time to time for anyone that doesn't go to the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah. So this is what I thought. Turns out, if you're going to see a band play, you cannot bring in any alcohol. But if you're going to see like the LA Philharmonic play, or you're going to like an outdoor movie screening, you can bring your own alcohol.
Oh, inconsistent rules are not fun.
So I spent $20 on these like bougie little like canned wines that were like, you know, it was like orange wine. It was like they were like kind of fancy.
Ooh, yeah, very LA.
Yeah, and we show up and she's like, "Oh, you can't bring cans in."
So you just had to chug them right there.
So me and my girlfriend are standing outside of the like metal detector line, just like chugging.
Hell
wine.
yeah, I love that you actually chugged that. Oh yeah, that is annoying.
That was annoying. But other than that, good week. What about you guys? What you got for me?
It's been a very long week.
Yeah.
That is just like not even done.
I know.
For me.
I know. I'm
For
with you.
too, man.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time together on Tuesday.
Oh my God. Yeah. On Tuesday, we did this like, this unhinged shoot.
Okay, so yeah, I don't want to hijack, but Patrick and I did a shoot for Jesse's channel that involved me and him building a house versus Jeff and Justin, our friends, building a house. And at the end, Patrick was the house destruction expert.
Yeah. And we just
destroyed
the houses. And they were like
big
6 foot by 6 foot houses that they took about like
6 hours
6 hours to build.
And like by build, like power tools, cutting wood with a saw, like nailing things.
James is good with some power tools.
I've learned.
James is good with some power tools. I was impressed. I was a little nervous in the planning that everything was going to be chill, but these YouTubers, they know how to use some power tools sometimes. But yeah, that was on Tuesday, which was just like a very, very long day. And then Jesse's got another huge shoot tomorrow that like just like a lot of prep is going on for, and all really exciting, really rewarding stuff that's going on, but it's just like never ending. It's just one on top of the other on top of the other. And then that coupled with normal life, I'm saying hot streak just because it's like all fun, and it's the kind of stuff that it's like you look back 2 weeks later and you're like, hell yeah, like good stories all around, but just a lot to go through.
Yeah, I feel like, earlier this year I've had a lot of weeks where I was like, I'm on a shooting slump, but I have a hot streak attitude, so it's a hot streak. And I feel like last week and this week have been the opposite, where I'm like, I feel like I'm on a hot streak in life, but I'm like shooting slump vibes, shooting slump attitude, like. That Tuesday shoot, Patrick, you remember, of course, like my back was just in so much pain to the point where I couldn't shoot the basketball properly. Like I was just in so much pain. by the end of that video.
You've
shoot.
had back problems. For
Yeah,
the last,
back
like,
problem.
Week now.
Yeah, week. Like my video yesterday on Monday, it did really, really well. Like always love that. People, good reception. I feel like we've been having a fun time with the pod, even though the finals have been kind of a disaster. You know, as much props as I want to give Jaylen Brown and the Celtics and all these guys, like at the end of the day, I'm a hater. You know, they're the one team in the NBA, one of two teams in the NBA that I've just never really liked. They're always, you know, my formative years as a basketball fan was watching them beat LeBron James over and over again. You know, as an LA native, you know, they're the public enemy number one. You know, I can only be so fair when I talk about them. So every time they win, it's like a dark cloud over the.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. As a Suns fan, the results of the finals have
been great.
Have been really, really great for me. Like the Suns are. James was saying it the other day. Are like one of the rare fan bases that it's like so clear who their fan base should be cheering for in this, because not only like there's the Luka Booker beef, but also Suns fans, if you didn't know this, hate the Lakers. And if the Celtics win the championship, then they officially have the most championships and the Lakers are no longer tied. So it's almost a double like petty win for Suns fans here, which I'm here for. I'm not above pettiness at all.
Yeah, but this week's a slump. You know, I like feeling productive, but I've had a couple days in a row now where it's like wake up, work, 9 p.m., unwind, go to bed, wake up. It's like I feel like I'm kind of just going through the motions. I'm like a lifeless husk walking through life.
James is an ear of corn normally.
Yeah, and I haven't been peeled
just
yet.
the husk.
Yeah, so I think this upcoming week will be better. I think I'm getting over this little malaise. You know, I went in the hot tub last night. I feel like heating up, possibly the start of a streak.
There we go. Heating up like a hot tub.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say shooting slump, but that's 2 slumps in a row. I don't want to get hypothermia, so I'm gonna try to streak up this week.
There we go. Streak up.
Let's go. Okay, I guess next week, Patrick, are we officially shifting to summer schedule once a week?
I don't know. We'll see. I feel like we should just like keep our ear to the ground and see like how crazy it might get in the first 2-3 weeks of the off season, because we got draft, then we got full ass free agency, and the Lakers haven't even hired a coach yet.
Ooh, yeah, the Dan Hurley shenanigans. I guess we didn't really talk about that. But I mean, what is there to talk about? He's old news now.
Yeah, I guess now JJ's back.
JJ is so back.
JJ's so back. Did you see Brian Windhorst said on the air today that that JJ Redick's interviews have partially been on the podcast?
No, he did not.
Yeah, yes, he did say that.
I feel like Windhorst is low key like a great never has bad takes guy.
Yeah. Oh,
I feel like Windhorst is stealthily a great take guy all the time. That's a bad take. That was a W moment too.
One of my favorite moments of the last couple of years.
Yeah, I've always been a big Windy guy. I like Windy.
Yeah.
I feel like he got a lot of hate. Like people were like, "Oh, he just hitched his wagon to LeBron James." Like he went to the same high school. He graduated before him. He was a journalist and he wrote news stories about the biggest news story in his local area as a local reporter.
Yeah,
Hot take.
it's smart.
He was doing his job.
and now, I mean, he is definitely hitching his wagon to Wemby, but like, go off, King. I wouldn't choose anyone else to hitch their wagon.
Game recognized game.
Yeah.
If I had the opportunity, I would do the exact same thing, man.
Yeah, I'm a big Windhorst guy. I like him.
It's just like
He's
Ahmad
he seems
Rashad.
like a nice, good guy.
Ahmad
yeah.
Rashad hitched his wagon to Michael Jordan. Like the smart ones do it, and then they die rich.
Yeah. Dave McMenamin, I feel like people only recently caught on as like the modern day LeBron James.
Yeah.
And I like him too. I think he's pretty good at his job.
When you're like actually a reporter,
Your job is to report.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand that people are like, oh, he's only successful because he gets to report on LeBron James. Maybe ESPN assigned these people to report on LeBron James because they're good at it. And like that's the most important thing they can do in their NBA coverage.
Yeah. There's a reason why people like us are not following around these superstars. There's a reason why people like Stephen A. Smith is not just like trailing LeBron James, because there's reporters and there's talking heads. And those two things, I know Windy kind of like is starting to tread the line a little bit just because ESPN puts a mic in front of his face all the time. But they get what you guys love. They get the juice, the little scraps of meat on the bone that sustain us.
Yeah.
The slop.
Well, okay, so I guess Monday is then officially we're going to do the year-long best take, worst take, because I think the finals will be over. We'll have a juicy, horrible take. We can nominate the worst of June, and we can go for the year-long.
Okay, yeah. Either that or I don't know, draft preview.
I'm not ready for a draft preview. I won't be ready Monday.
We'll talk about
it. Okay. You know what? You guys don't want to do live planning right now?
I mean, I'm always down to do live planning.
We'll catch you guys on Monday.
We'll make a Patreon where you can listen to us plan every episode.
Peace.